I'm going to try very much to make this my last video. An addict is going to get their drug of choice, which is whatever they tend to use. Sometimes it's more than one thing, but they tend to really prefer one over the other. And they're going to do nearly anything they can or they feel they can do and live with. Some people do things that they can't live with, and it drives them crazy. Some can live with a lot of stuff on their conscience. I couldn't really steal from people or nothing, but a lot of people realizing that they are actually in the throes of addiction, the active addiction, disease of addiction. They spend their money when they should have used it for whatever bill or thing it was that they need to use it for, but instead went to their disease. It's not going to make that person want to rely on you should you help them with food or their bill or anything like that. You need to make it clear. You should still make it clear that you're only helping them because you're concerned about them. And it's also important to catch this and catch on to what's going on before anyone feels they need to consider tough love, which I'm going to get more into hopefully before this video ends. Um, it doesn't work, but backfires on many mental health patients that are going through addiction by cutting a person off who really needs support at their most desperate moment. I would like to explain that. Um, the drowning effect. Let me see if I have anything about the drowning effect. I'm just going to read what I've got. If you're giving them money for that is any money for their disease, if you're giving them money for their disease every day, that is an enabler. But if you're giving them food or some other thing like paying their water bill or something, then both you and the addict should be very grateful that this addiction hasn't yet cost them their utilities, home, and other essential things, transportation, whatever they have left. Don't treat any addict with PTSD, severe anxiety, panic attacks, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, schizophrenic tendencies, and many more with this tough love approach. Especially when someone is trying to do better, that person's trying to do better, or they're detoxing, or someone feels like they're drowning because their efforts feel so in vain, and it's terrifying to think if you screw up or you have to start over, losing all progress you've made. Plus, they certainly don't need to hear more negativity about it. They need affirmations that they can still do it and that making a mistake is just a part of recovery when referring to relapses. Sometimes, as long as they're still serious about it, a relapse doesn't mean it isn't they aren't serious about it, but serious enough, they will feel terrible sense of disappointment in themselves. They don't need others to reinforce that negativity. They've had their fill of being told their crap. They likely believe whatever horrible things that people have said about themselves, said about them. I was once, not once, I was told I should just kill myself. No one seemed to believe in me. And after being told what a stupid effing piece of shit I was, with a lot of passion behind that, multiple times a day for literally, going on years, you're going to believe it. Just like a king will believe he's, God when the people, back in the day used to have to bow down to the king. You're going to react like how you're treated. It's just human nature. I was told to go kill myself by doing X after that person had already been by my bedside when I was on a ventilator after attempting suicide. And I think looking back, that's some fucked up shit. Telling me to go kill myself and how to do it after seeing me in that state, knowing that I have tried to kill myself before. Seriously. What addicts need is someone who believes in them both before, during, and after their detox. Withdrawals. Every stage, every stage, every stage. People close to addicts often express feeling totally spent and exhausted by an addict, relatives, or child, grandchild, whatever relation, friend, as long as they're very close. And I believe this is because when they have an interaction with someone who's an addict, they may feel that it's their duty, their job, or responsibility to talk to them into getting to sober or fix their problem. However, that doesn't work. And you don't need to fix their life. They probably don't want you to take that on. The only thing an addict needs from someone they're close to is for your relationship to remain good. They don't expect anyone to be able to fix them because they haven't been able to do it themselves. I'm sure they'd accept help in the right way, like I talked about. When you openly judge them for their addiction, you're pushing them away. That's not tough love. It's actually just being rude and untactful. When you have something to say to the addict about a concern, do it privately. Just because they're addicted to a drug doesn't mean that they still can't be embarrassed. It means whatever you. It doesn't mean you can say whatever to them. Their feelings may be more on the surface to vulnerability simply because being an addict tends to make you vulnerable and even afraid to defend yourself or speak up for yourself when someone gets it wrong or makes assumptions about you because of what they don't know or because of stereotypes or of what an addict is. The addict is already embarrassed as fuck because they know what those stereotypes are and what other people think of them, which is usually lower than a flea on a mangy dog, not even a second-class citizen. And these people are real people like you, who may have made a mistake. They just made a different mistake than you made. Did you know that the war on drugs and the DARE program in schools actually introduced millions of children to drugs? It showed us what they were all like, all of them, passed them around, did their best to explain the efforts without making them sound good, even though it failed miserably. And instead, they passed the drugs around in plastic baggies or containers so we could know what the drugs looked like, quote unquote. And I guess that was allegedly on the street. We'd be able to know how bad a person was by what drugs they were selling. I don't know. But you're supposed to just say no. More platitudes don't work. It failed. They need to end the war on drugs and decriminalize personal use and possession at the very least. All it did was tell us what uncut drugs looked like. Have you heard of the DARE program anymore? No. The students exposed to the War on Drugs DARE program ended up using drugs more than children who were not exposed to the DARE program. And that's a real study by the government because they had us sign things whenever we went through that program. Quit giving your kids Ritalin and other forms of methamphetamine wondering why they're addicts. Use some other medication. It's terrible for the body. I'm aware that it's different on kids, but it's... they still get tweaked the fuck out, I promise. I know this for a fact. Kids may not understand that they're feeling different because of a drug, but they are. Because of that drug, nor opiates, they may not understand that, but they may not be able to put that together until the age of 7 or 8. Hide all narcotics. If you smoke or drink or use THC, it's okay to be realistic with your kids about what you do, but do it in moderation, and your children emulate you whether you or the child like it or not. Research to back that up can be done. This is facts. What do you do that your parents did that maybe wasn't a great example, or that maybe just wasn't a good or bad example, but you just happen to also emulate? Watch your children. What do they emulate in you? I would not use marijuana in front of your children that's smokable or something that they can smell. That's not appropriate for an underage child unless they have a diagnosis for something with a medical condition that they need that for. So I'm going to go ahead and end this now because I don't know how much longer this is going to allow me to record. Thank you so very much for giving me this much time and being patient with me. Again, this is my very first time doing this. I'm a little bit nervous, so I apologize for jumping around subjects quite a bit. I'm sure there will be questions. I'll do my best to get to them. Please don't attack me. I'm not trying to attack anyone else's ideas or anything, or anyone personally by what I'm speaking about in this video. At all. At all. This is for information purposes, for general public, for anyone who wants to watch it. And it is meant as that alone. Thank you again. Again, my name's Justin, and I'm going to be posting this to my vlog pilot episode part 3. Thanks.